Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I've got a few topics to discuss in this very latest Moon Lambo Hot Jam, including comments from former Goldman Sachs executive Raoul Pal. He's the founder and CEO of Real Vision. And I tell you what, I always appreciate his insights, and I think he's got a correct and interesting way of looking at the opportunity that's in front of us as it pertains specifically to cryptocurrencies. Because there's a quote where he said literally that the cryptocurrencies are, quote, the best opportunity we have ever been given. That's a direct quote. And I could not more fervently agree with that. This is a once-in-a-species opportunity, and here we are sitting at the cusp of the greatest bull action in crypto history, I believe anyway. We're at the end of this market cycle. The final blow-off top is going to come, and it's going to be absolutely glorious. And by the way, Raoul Pal here, he happens to be a very pro-XRP. In fact, he recently shared his expectation in terms of price action for XRP, thinking that from roughly the $1 level, it's going to have at least a tenfold increase. We're talking this market cycle, and he recognizes that there's a tremendous amount of opportunity, especially when the narratives against it, especially after the SEC going after Ripple, halting of trading in the United States. As a trader, not that he's for that, he's not saying that, but he's saying as a trader that's interesting and useful actually because it's suppressed right now, and he thinks that it's the underdog effectively and has an opportunity to just catapult out of all this. So he had some general thoughts on just crypto and the opportunity, and so I wanted to share that. Also, I've got a couple comments from attorney Jeremy Hogan, a member of the XRP community, who also, of course, runs the very popular YouTube channel Legal Briefs. I had just a couple comments from him. It's a short. I'm going to do basically a short continuation on a full video that I made within the last several days or so about what happens if the SEC dismisses the case against Ripple, because it would be there would be aspects of this that would be bad. Let's be for real. And I'll even mention this here before we dig into it, but first of all, the SEC, they can file the lawsuit again. They absolutely can. And in the short term, if the SEC stops going after Ripple as they could as a strategic move, then XRP doesn't have clarity. It doesn't have legal. Nothing has actually changed. And so that would be negative. So I don't think it's probable, and I've talked about that, but it's possible. And so I got a couple additional comments from Jeremy Hogan. And then there's this headline from you today. Tether slapped with $41 million fine by CFTC. And what do you know? It's for, I'll share the whole story, but it cites Tether not backing USDT Tether on a one-to-one basis with the dollar, at least certainly in the past at least. So I wanted to cover this as well. Crypto's weird, man. I'm not a financial advisor, though. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. That's all that's going on here, damn it. I want to share with you a very short transcription. Here's a tweet that was shared by MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor. And he simply wrote, "Thank God for Bitcoin." And he shared this clip from C-SPAN. It's 45 seconds, and I transcribed most of it anyway, the relevant portion. And the individual here on your screen is Senator Cynthia Lummis, very pro-Bitcoin and pro-crypto, Republican Wyoming. And she was absolutely shredding the financial irresponsibility of Congress, blaming both the left and the right, and for good reason, frankly. But she had something to say about Bitcoin. And this caught my attention, and I love this. And I'm telling you, this is something if you go back 5 or 6 years ago, hearing this from a senator, the idea of that just seemed impossible, unfathomable. But here we are in 2021. Crypto is here to stay. I'm telling you guys. So here's what she said. Presidents of both parties have run up the debt. Irresponsible, with no plan to address it. So thank God for Bitcoin and other non-fiat currencies that transcend the irresponsibility of governments, including our own. That is an indictment of our responsibility. Golf clap for Cynthia Lummis, everybody. Senator Cynthia Lummis hitting the nail on the head. This is a real problem, and I'm not seeing it solved by any aspect of our government, really. I'm not. It's just more spending and more spending and more debt. more printing of money, debasing the United States dollar. Any other country throughout the history of mankind that has treated their fiat currency in this way has ended up, it's ended up going extinct. That's what happens to these fiat currencies. So I don't know what the timeline is going to be. It may not even happen in my lifetime, but this is a real risk. This cannot happen forever. It is not possible to happen forever. And there's no indication that this is going to be fixed. And so absolutely having decentralized cryptocurrencies makes all the sense in the world, which is why when you think about these naysayers out there, the no-coiners, they're talking about intrinsic value of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Like, no, you don't get it. You're the one that doesn't get it, because these are attributes. I don't care if you call it intrinsic or not. I don't give a damn. I'm telling you, people value this. And this is just one reason. There are all sorts of other reasons, because you can have business models that can't exist without a decentralized cryptocurrency that has an open market price and is technologically sufficient, such as the case of XRP being utilized via on-demand liquidity. You need all of those attributes. But even outside of that, here, just the fact that there's a digital something that cannot be controlled by a centralized authority, cannot be controlled by government. People value that. And that's not a fad. Them valuing that is not going to go away. So if you don't get that, you need to be more... at this point, so much time has passed, you need to figure out... You need to look inward and ask, what do I not get about this? Because I don't think this makes sense. This Bitcoin thing and this crypto thing. What am I getting wrong? You need to be more curious about what you're not getting at this point if you're a no-coiner. The rest of the world's figured it out. And so then there are these comments from Raoul Pal. And just please continue to be thankful for this age that we live in. This is a once-in-a-species opportunity. We're living at the advent of the world of crypto, the beginning with the most opportunity, because markets are illiquid. There's not much money, which means there's so much money for a multiplier effect, asymmetry relative to other asset classes. Be thankful we're living right now. And here's what Raoul Pal had to say. This was just last night. Final thought for a Friday night. You can be angry at central banks, government, debt, demographics, or politics and how it affects us all, or you can be optimistic and migrate to the new world of digital assets. The choice is yours. If it's of any help to those that feel like they don't trust this new world, I am blessed to have as friends many of the world's most famous and successful investors, and a huge percentage have moved to a hybrid of traditional strategies plus exponential age tech plus crypto. You can bet with them, or you can write them off as fools. But do you want to get against Soros, Tiger, More Capital, Tudor, Brevin Howard, Balyasny, etc.? They are all involved, as are many more from the government of Singapore to Abu Dhabi. So let me just pause here to state, yes, there are these big entities, and you are seeing more institutional money coming in, and as well as publicly traded companies jumping in, investing in Bitcoin and crypto. But you're still early to the party, because most institutions and the vast majority of publicly traded companies not even touching this stuff. If you're jumping in now in crypto, you beat the vast majority of other humans. It's estimated that somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3% of humans on the globe, on planet Earth, have ever held a cryptocurrency at any point in time. That's it. And we already have a multi-trillion-dollar asset class. It's over 2.5 trillion at the time I'm recording this. That's going to balloon in the future, I don't know when, to tens of trillions, and then probably over 100 trillion, maybe hundreds of trillions, maybe. And just as I was saying, the last market cycle, we had a peak crypto asset class market cap of somewhere in the neighborhood of 850 billion several years ago. And then it cratered down. And when it was in the neighborhood of 175 billion, having cratered down during the bear market, I was saying on this YouTube channel, I don't know when, but at some point in the future, the crypto asset class will be worth $1 trillion, which seemed ridiculous to some people back then when it was 175 billion. Not ridiculous to me, because I knew we were trending upwards despite massive pullbacks. But I said it's going to be $1 trillion market cap for this asset class, and then it'll be a multi-trillion-dollar market cap. And now that's happened. And I even said back then it's going to be tens of trillions, probably over 100 trillion, maybe hundreds of trillions. So I've been saying that for years. So a couple of those hurdles we hit. We hit the 1 trillion mark. We're now to multi-trillion-dollar asset class. But it's so early on, you have beat almost every human on the planet. Congratulations if you're here. There is so much opportunity for life-changing wealth. And that's not to say there's not risk. There is. Don't let people tell you there's no risk. There's definitely risk, but I still maintain that the greatest risk investing in this asset class is yourself, because you're a human with emotions, and people emotionally responding to price action and then making financial decisions, that's what wrecks the most people. Because it's not important buying to selling decisions that are not based on logic and data, that's going to go well? Yeah, probably not. Anyway, Raoul Pal continues. That doesn't make more traditional investment nullified, but it makes them so much less interesting from a risk-reward perspective. E.g., bonds can work over shorter term or trading FX, but available alpha per unit of risk is massively suboptimal over extended time periods. So he's saying, for example, bonds, not exactly the ideal investment over a long period of time. And then he wraps up by stating, but digital assets and exponential age are the best opportunity we have ever been given, and they counteract the central bank's printing of 15% a year. Gold just about works to protect wealth, but not to grow it. Be less skeptical, seek returns, and seek the future. Change is good. And so this is one of the bazillion reasons why I'm thrilled to be holding XRP, a cryptocurrency that actually has utility, and it's rather illiquid at this point. That's appealing to me. That means there's an opportunity for a tremendous multiplier effect. Almost nobody. And it's the underdog. I want something that's the underdog right here in crypto. I don't want something that's already pumped. This is where the opportunity is right here. And as far as I'm saying, be less skeptical, yeah, it's possible to be too skeptical of crypto. I will say this, though. My starting point for anything in life is that of a skeptic. I don't just blindly believe. So that's my starting point, including with crypto. When I jumped into crypto almost 4 years ago at this point, I was that of a skeptic, including when I started researching XRP. I found it interesting and exciting, but I was still pretty much a blank slate at that point. And I started as a skeptic. And what I was trying to do when I started researching XRP, I wanted to just throw every mental idea I could at it to destroy it and see if it made sense. I wanted to throw every doomsday scenario at the idea of XRP's long-term viability, and whatever I threw at it, it didn't destroy it. And so that's not to say it's impossible for something to come out of left field that couldn't have been foreseen, but out of every potential doomsday scenario I've ever seen discussed, it doesn't make sense for XRP to fail and go away. Now, things can change, and I reserve the right to change my opinion as things evolve. But based on everything available today, and that's what I realized years ago, I was like, crypto's not going away. I'm even more sure of that crypto's not going away. But second to that, XRP, I think it's highly likely that it's here for the long haul. It's probably going to be here decades from now. But if something changes that I couldn't have foreseen, of course, yeah, there's that. But that's why I'm always monitoring what's happening in crypto, because I don't know when it is such early days. But yeah, outside of that, my gosh, the level of adoption, the opportunity here is very crystal clear to me. And so I say it makes sense to start as a skeptic, but there is such a thing as being too skeptical. And even if you're concerned about the crypto asset class, I do subscribe to the idea of like just dipping your toe in the water, like put a non-consequential amount of money into something if you think it makes sense. I'm not telling you to buy or sell or hold anything specifically, but I do think just in a general sense, having exposure to the asset class, even if it's a percent of whatever you have available to throw in, just so you can get some experience with it, because that's not going to destroy anybody. Throwing in 1% of whatever you have available to invest at the moment, that's nothing. But you can get accustomed to it, used to it, and then you can do research along the way. It's useful, and that might help remove some of the rightfully placed skepticism that you have to start with. But you might realize, okay, well, I'm glad I started with that due diligence, but maybe you can pull some of that back and realize that this actually is here to stay for a ton of reasons. And so, yeah, the change is good in that sense, and Raoul Pal absolutely is hitting the nail on the head. And then there's this. Somebody named Aaron on Twitter asked attorney Jeremy Hogan the following. What happens if the SEC just drops the case for fear of losing? And Jeremy Hogan wrote, people can disagree on this, but I believe it would be construed as an SEC defeat. And ... Moon. Oh, yes, I wouldn't mind that. XRP Moon as a result. Well, it's certainly possible. I'm not denying it's like the possibility of XRP moving up if the case is dismissed. But you're still not going to have that regulatory clarity, which would kind of suck. That would kind of suck hard. But who knows what the market would do? Yeah, I could. It's fathomable that that XRP could dramatically go up, even just based on that news. Because it's not like I don't think it would be perceived as bad news. It just wouldn't be good in terms of clarity, right? And then somebody named Wee Jimmy wrote the following. This question has been plaguing me for a while. Thanks for answering. If the SEC were to relitigate, would this first botched attempt and subsequent retreat work in Ripple's favor in the next case? Which is an excellent question. Would it be bad or good for Ripple if there's a second charge against them after the first one's dismissed? And Jeremy Hogan wrote, generally speaking, a second litigation favors the defendant. It's on the plaintiff to attack, and the defendant knows how the plaintiff will come at them. Yeah, so it would be interesting if that happened, but damn, I hope it doesn't. I don't want to deal with that. You don't want to deal with that. Nobody wants to deal with that. Let's just hope there's either a settlement or full adjudication in the favor of Ripple and XRP. But I will say this, even though I acknowledge that this scenario is possible where they dismiss this case, I don't think it's probable. It's possible, but not probable. The SEC, I think these people have demonstrated they're power hungry and they have serious egos, like really dangerous egos. And I don't think, because they know that it would be perceived as a loss if they pull this case and dismiss it. I don't think their egos will allow them to do this. I really don't. Look at the way these people operate. Like it's disgusting. Some of the behavior is absolutely disgusting. And so people that are wired like that and have been conditioned to just think that they're God's gift to the world, like they're not going to do something that makes it look like they're the weak ones. So I don't see that happening. If anything, they'll just settle. And yes, it would be out of fear of loss, but they can spin that as a win. You can't really spin dismissing the case as a win for you. Settlement, yeah, you can be like, yeah, look, we got X amount of money from Ripple because blah, blah, blah. So it could happen. I don't think it's what's likely. That's all I'm saying. Then there's this headline from you today. Tether slapped with $41 million fine by CFTC. Tether, the leading stablecoin issuer, has been ordered to pay a $41 million civil monetary penalty by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission as part of a settlement deal, according to a press release issued on October 15th. The company was accused of violating the Commodity Exchange Act, CEA for short, by making misleading statements about the USDT stablecoin being backed one-to-one by the US dollars. Folks, let me just pause there. That is not a trivial thing. That is certainly not a trivial thing. And I know Bitcoin maxis like to pretend like this is a non-issue, and they maybe, but how is this not legitimately something that is still on the radar, something that is a potential gigantic concern? Because you understand that there are people creating Tether out of thin air, and yes, I understand all crypto is created out of thin air, but you're talking about crypto created out of thin air, and somebody has it, and they can do whatever they want with it. And it gets out into the wild. Where's it going? Like, because that's being used to purchase other crypto that has an open market price that's being traded in an open market. Like, imagine if you could just create your own coin right now, call it whatever it is, it's Ucoin, and you hold it, and then now it's worth each one of them, print however many you want, and each one's worth exactly $1. Now you can go buy whatever other crypto you want. And then after you purchase that crypto, you can go ahead and sell it if you want. Like, this is what's happening here. And so it'd be one thing if it was backed one-to-one with the dollar, but we don't know what the hell is going on. This stuff is not being sufficiently audited here, and it's not crazy to discuss this. I'm not saying that this is something that's going to destroy the crypto asset class. This is not, but it's also not some sort of conspiracy or anything like that. I'm just saying it's a legitimate concern that deserves to be discussed. That's it. It's fair to talk about this, but Bitcoin maxis, when you bring this up, a lot of them will be like, oh my God, here's the fun again, this or that. I'm like, no, not so much. There's a lot of questions that you haven't been able to answer because it's information that's not publicly available. That's serious. That matters. Because what if this all crumbles and falls apart? It's the what if. That's a fair question. Well, if it does, or if you find out that anything about this actually were scamming, I'm not claiming that it is. But what if it is? Because and the reason it's fair to ask this is because there's not sufficient transparency. It's absolutely fair to ask that. If there were transparency, then no. But since there's not, like, what if it is? That's a legit question. What happens to all of this? What happens to the crypto asset class? Does the market tank for a while? And even if it did, it wouldn't go away. If this happens, and if Tether Doomsday actually happened, which I'm not predicting, but if it did, I would be like, oh, cool. All right, well, I'm going to let people panic, and I'm going to try and buy as close to the bottom as possible. I'll just scoop up all their fear, because I know it's not going away. It would be a train wreck. It could be really bad potentially, but it's still crypto's not going away. But this is totally legit here. So anyway, piece continues. Despite claiming that the stablecoin was fully pegged to the value of the greenback, the order says that Tether had sufficient reserves less than a third of the 26-month period from 2016 to 2018. So think about that. Less than a third. So this other Tether that was created, who got it? What cryptos were purchased with it? Who got that free crypto? Who got it? Seriously, you're talking about 2/3 of the Tether, at least at that point in time, not backed. Who got the free crypto then? Because you have magically, you create this, you have this free token. Where to go? And if it's not free crypto, tell me how it's not free crypto. I'm open-minded to that, but you have to articulate this. It is not clear. It has not been stated how that could be the case. So what I'm saying is, it's legit to ask these questions because you, Tether, have not been transparent. But here's a quote. Let me state this first as part of the article. Tether also did not perform professional audits during the aforementioned time sample. Now here's a quote. The order further finds that Tether failed to disclose that it included unsecured receivables and non-fiat assets in its reserves, and that Tether falsely represented that it would undergo routine professional audits to demonstrate that it maintained 100% reserves at all times, even though Tether reserves were not audited. So there you are. The facts are facts, my friends. You tell me what it means. And if you know stuff that I don't know, because I don't pretend to know everything, I could very well be missing key pieces of information. Let me know, and I'll be happy to share it on the channel and even credit you if it's something to that degree, sure. But man, I'll tell you what, I'll wrap up here, but let me know what you think about all of these topics, especially, I'm really curious about this one in particular. What do you think about Tether? Are you somebody that thinks, yeah, this is no big deal, it's fine? Are you a little bit concerned? Are you a lot concerned? Am I missing important information? Because again, I don't pretend to know everything. I'm not a know-it-all. But I love sharing what I do know, and then when I learn from you guys, I love sharing that on the channel too. But I'll go ahead and wrap up. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.